Hello, this is Donna and welcome. On my desk today I have what's on my desk. So I want to show you some things I've been working on. And this is a project that I saw from the Firefly Studio 67, and it was about 6 months ago. And I finally found my beeswax, so I am going to try to do this, and I'll show you what I've collaged so far for it. So I've made this envelope out of the paper bags. It's an incredible tutorial. I really enjoyed it. I watched it all over and over again. I will try to link it below, but please check it out, the paper bag. And then when it's finally sewn together and everything, after I have my melted beeswax on it, it's wonderful. She did, I won't even attempt to try to recreate what she did, but I just wanted you to see what I collaged. So it's obviously not done yet, but I at least I have 3 ready with different collage papers. So that's one thing. The other is I did mass production, which I hadn't done before, and I really like it. I feel like I've got extra tags and things for upcoming journals that, you know, I'm sure I will use them in many ways, and extras. So I just wanted to show you these. And that's from the journal that I did with the Paper Dollhouse with all the vintage wallpapers. It's a very thick one, but I had extras. So Tsunami Rose printables. Obviously Tim Holtz papers. And I'll just flip through these pretty quickly. And I'm glad I took the time to do all the stitching around it. I think it looks so much crisper. Some of them aren't quite flat, so I will put them in my my homemade press my husband made for me after Nancy from Wishes and Weeds. She has a video about hers that she made, and I showed it to him, and so he made me one, which I really appreciate. More Tsunami Rose. This is a wonderful kit with sewing notions. It's not coming to me right now, I'm sorry. Victorian designs. Okay, I will try to find everything. So yeah, just fun stuff. And then here I just have little things to use for in talks. I just thought those were really great. More Tim Holtz. There's that box again. I like the feel of that. Sometimes when I glue my papers, I only glue the edge with my art glitter glue, and I don't know, it just almost, it gives that little crinkly sound. So these are the flat ones I embellished with some of the vintage flowers I have. Oh, upside down, there we go. And I did, it was a printable. And I cannot remember where this came from. It didn't have a back to it, so I just used that back. So I just used that back. And there's another one with a, I love the colors in these vintage postcards, and even the copies of them are even great. So there's that. And then I'm gonna do a pack of these, but this is for a journal that I'll show you that I've been working on. Just added some fun papers and some music, a little flip, something to journal in, but easy, just easy sew right down the center. I really like these a lot. And then here is some tags that will be for a custom order. And I'm very excited about this project, and I'll show you more about that in a minute, but I'll show you the tags. And obviously I had leftovers from that wallpaper. Check out that wallpaper. It's crazy. Beautiful. You know, it's got the shimmer. and you can tell that was extras from the paper doll, but I think it'll work great in this this other journal. And so the journals is about, there'll be children and a lot of vintage materials from my collection of books that I've been hoarding in my basement for quite some time. I'm sure that a lot of you can relate. I will admit this. I have probably over 1,000 or more books in the basement, probably closer to 2. But it's great. You can go down there and grab a book that's related to a journal that you're doing, and you're using the actual pages from the book. You're recycling. I used to copy, and the copies don't come out as nice. So I've started using the original pages. So that'll be a fun tuck, and that was pretty cool. This is a rabbit, and I added some fussy cuts to that, and you could always journal on the back of that. And these were fun. This is from a Sears Roebuck catalog, a small one. I mean, I have a collection of large ones, but I also have this little tiny one, and so I thought this would fit for the theme of that journal. You know, like children's lives and fun stuff like that. So bicycles and a little boy's clothing. So that's from that. Put that over there. Put that over there. And since I'm on the conversation of that journal, here we go. So I've picked a book that's nice and thick because my problem is I make too many things for the journals and then they don't fit. So I think this is going to work great. I have no idea about the covers, but I just wanted to show you some of this fun stuff. This is from a children's magazine from the, I want to say 60s, obviously from an old Boy Scout book. And there's more from that Sears and Roebuck catalog. I'm going to have some of my own crumpled up tea-stained papers and just some nice papers. This is papers that you would use for resumes. Obviously, I've got a lot of music, a story about birds, butterflies, little stories, little pages from a gardening book that'll be in there. I just thought this was lovely. Yeah, definitely gonna need to use it in this. And then I have an old math book. I have readers, old vintage readers, and then of course we have the fussy cut collection of the Dick and Jane, which I am thrilled with, absolutely thrilled with. And here is some cuts from a book on music and all the different instruments. Those will be fun. Dick and Jane, I did copy that page. There's nothing like the inserts of, or the first blank page of the vintage books, because look at that natural aging. You can't really copy that. I mean, we can try, but I always use these. I save the covers and the inside pages, and I use them for all sorts of things. Winnie the Pooh, of course. What would a child's journal story be without Winnie the Pooh? Yeah, here we go. Where there's some music, some more from that music sheet thing. Yeah, I wanted to get to these. There's more music sheets. Some other fun things that I found. I mean, inside cover sheets are great, but these are really neat. I have a whole book of this, and I guess you could cut them up and use them as flashcards. Yep. The Nature Dictionary, a picture guide to living things. So I pulled the first pages out. I'm sure I'll use them in there. Isn't that fun? Very fun. So I obviously really liked that, pulled a lot of that out. There's the World of Living Things from that. This is from the Oh, the Book of Knowledge. I have a whole collection of the encyclopedia, Children's Encyclopedia of the Book of Knowledge. I think they're 60s, but they just have great graphics and wonderful font. And I'm sure I'll put stories about trees. I mean, look at that. They look a little scary, but little verses for little people. And they had these in them too. The Book of Knowledge, and then there's another group of encyclopedias that I have that are children's encyclopedias, and these were the front cover pages from that. That looks 60s-ish to me. A lot of advertising, lots and lots of advertising that I thought would be fun. See, look at that, $2. And then I did a lot of fussy cutting out of Our World book. I think that's what it's called. So I wanted to get the pets in there. And here we go. This was an article about this Jerry, who was an actor, a child actor. There he is again. So, lots of fussy cutting has been happening here. I don't know if you remember these baby booties. This is a copy, but I actually have original pieces on a canvas, a 3D canvas that I did. And I won't continue any longer with this part, but I did want to show you my pattern cutouts. Now, patterns, I do have to look at the age and stuff. Sometimes I'll use originals, but sometimes I won't, because I made the mistake of cutting up a very expensive French pattern years ago, and I really regretted that. So these are all my fussy cuts of all the children. I do this when I'm watching TV, or when I'm taking a break, you know, from something, but oh, they're just so cool. Look at that with a dog. Love them. Love them. From that other book of What to Do. I think it's called What to Do. Here, let's see. Yeah, Things to Do. It's a great book. Look at the graphics on this. And I did make copies of that. Here it is. That's a cover of the Wonder Book of Things to Do. Indoor and outdoors. And copies. We have our bedtime stories. Mr. Benjamin Stock. The Wind in the Willows stories. Advertising, and then just some of my favorite papers. Oh yeah, these are nice too. This is more educational stuff, so the stories, and then you're learning to read and you're learning about your words. I really am enjoying collecting the papers for this. Oh, here we go. Junior Scholastics. That's what the magazines were. It's really neat to read them. So there's all the stories from that. There's some crazy stuff. Oh, so this is a lovely example of what happens to books. This was from a Jack and Jill magazine. I used to read this magazine at the doctor's office. And it's 1961, but this is what happens with the bugs. I know it's creepy, but it's also kind of interesting. I don't know, I mean, there's obviously no bugs, but the pattern, I'm a textile person, so the pattern for me is really fun. So move that apart there. There we are. And there's more stories and stuff. Oh, but this is, yeah, there we go. And you have this with the alphabet on the side. And here we are with another reader with pictures. This is awesome. I wish you could feel this paper. It's just great. Great paper. Lots and lots of those. That's a pretty big book. People around the world, and of course in the garden. That was with the other book with the pets. This I loved, and I did copy it because I was only able to get out one page, and I started fussy cutting the little kids with the flowers, but look how beautiful that is. I obviously need new ink. I have a, what do I have? An Epson Eco printer, which I love, 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 because I print a lot, but not just for this, but for other things. It's not too bad. I mean, I wish it was the depth of color, but it's probably my ink level. That is a really cool page, and I don't remember what book it came out. So, okay, enough of that. That's, you know, I can go off on down a rabbit hole on that one. That's going to be a fun book. These are extra pages. So, I'm developing this thing since I'm pretty new to making journals, that I think I have the right amount of pages, but then I forget how much embellishment and how many extra little things and pockets and envelopes and things I do, that I make too many. So I have this whole basket full of extra pages, which someday could become a journal in itself, I'm sure. I mean, I've even gone to the, you know, thinking that they were going to fit in the journal. And just had lots of fun with that. Some velvet, some vintage. I love using my, what are they called? Ledgers. This one is super brittle and old, so I have to reinforce it. Really am enjoying these Tim Holtz washi tapes, especially the florals. That was an extra page. That was from a ring bound. Oh, it was from the Paper Doll journal. Yeah, and obviously so was this one. Couldn't fit. Oh, and this one too. Didn't fit. Oh well, I have to make another one of those. The purpose of these first pages I showed you were for this journal, which, okay, so Dudley House did not do a tutorial on how to make this, but these are things that she made quite a while ago, and they are on Pinterest, and I researched them, and I got a porcelain doll from Etsy and was able to make something similar. I don't want to ever copy her. I mean, her style is her style, but I thought I would try it out and then use my Tim Holtz wings. I used the outline of I actually used a piece of it on the inside and then covered that part of the frame for a cabinet card that I have. And so this was the journal, and I loved the velvet on there. I took apart one that was really brittle, a photo album, and used this part that was the only salvageable part. But let's just kind of look through that real quick. It's not done, but I couldn't add any more to it, as you can see. See, the back cover's not done yet, but these are just some of the pages, and I'll go through it kind of quickly, and once I finish I will do a really good flip through. But this was really fun, just using up my scraps of kind of Victorian inspired things that I had. A lot of collage work. There really was no set plan for this. I just kind of sat down and played using my laces and my Hug Snug seam binding, and cut out some music. Love this. This was from a gardening book. I want to do a gardening journal pretty soon here. That's another pocket. I want to remember whose paper this is. I love this paper so much. I use it sparingly. Although it's a digi kit, I could print off more. So this is me, because I am new to binding. I'm not very good at it. And so there was a huge gap in here. So I just sewed a bunch of really pretty laces together, and use that kind of as a focal point because I didn't want to see the gap. So that's what I did with it. Not sure if I'll keep it that way, but for now it works. And that, there's more of that gorgeous paper. I just embellished it. I love these. I got these from a friend several years ago, and she has a huge collection of die cuts, which I don't own very many at all. I think I have a total of maybe 3 or 4, but I loved that. And there's a little tuck, and then she's a tuck also. See, right there. Oh, Tim Holtz. Most of you recognize that. A flip. Oh, I should do it that way. And then more of those. There's another one right there, another pocket. And more tucks, that beautiful paper. Fussy cut flowers, Tim Holtz frame. See, these are just cutouts from address books, and they're very Victorian inspired address books. And then here, that is a belly band that I can stick something in. And then I did one of these with these Victorian cards, which I cannot remember where they came from. Pretty neat though. This is a flip. So there we go. No, that's a single page. I thought maybe it was a tuck, but no. And here he is, Mr. Romance. You can call him Mr. Darcy. Looking at Elizabeth. And then there's a tux, but I'm really loving these little add-ons that I've fussy cut out of the address books, the Victorian address books. But I will finish those and someday finish this. I'm sure a lot of you have this thing where you have a book where you start putting things in it, and then it gets put aside for another project that you want to start. And this is just that book, and it's getting closer and closer to being finished. So eventually I'll do a final flip through of that. But thank you for spending your time with me. I so appreciate it. Have a great day. Bye. Hey, what's up?